Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Dark Side of the Word, a weekly podcast for all the dark story lovers, creatives, and readers out there. My name is Kait, and I am here with my well-organized co-host, CJ.
Hello, everybody. It is very funny that you say that because I was looking at my closet the other day. I have like this little side closet where I just throw like my nail polish and medicine and makeup and stuff, and I don't think I've cleaned it out in the past 9 years I've been in this house. And I was like, I should really organize this. And then I walked away. So, it's funny you called me that.
I'm calling you that because of all the organizing you did for the girls' trip, the amazing writing retreat that we just did. We are back from it, and I cannot wait to discuss it in our writer's update. And
yes, I am excited for that as well. Everybody stay tuned because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll just say the writing retreat was mind-blowing and amazing, and we're already planning next year's.
I cannot wait for next year's. Like, I want to do it again next month, and then a month after. It should be a monthly thing, honestly, because it's that refreshing.
Except you're so far away.
Yes, and plane tickets are expensive.
If you're willing to fly.
Yeah.
Anywho's, it is the third Thursday of the month, which means it is time to discuss an industry topic or trend. And to follow last month's theme, I thought that after we discuss critique partners, we could discuss the next step on your writing journey, which is beta readers. Oh God, the scary word, beta readers.
People are gonna see it. Oh my gosh.
Well, because for a lot of people, sending it out to beta readers is essentially sending it out to your first real readers.
Yeah.
The first real, audience that you're going to do. Because with critique partner, you've got a trusting relationship with that person. Sending it to CJ, I don't care. In a way.
Yeah.
I know that she's still going to love me at the end.
Yeah. And you know it's going to get torn apart in critique things. But you're hoping by the time you send it to your beta readers, there's really not much they can complain about, if anything. But still, that nervousness is there.
Yeah, and you don't entirely 100% know their opinions, their reading style, the tropes they like, per se. I mean, sometimes these can be complete strangers, sometimes they can be people you do know, and you've already built a relationship with, you don't know, and, this is kind of like this is a test run of sending it out to the real world, and so, yeah, it can be really, really scary, it can be a little discouraging, but we're going to discuss it from what we've done, and hopefully make it a little less scary for you.
Yes.
All right, so in case you don't know, the first section is, what is a beta reader?
Really? That is a helpful section to have.
Beta readers are essentially their name. They are the second round readers, because critique partners are other names for critique partners, unless you have one, it's alpha reader. I personally do have an alpha reader, and then I have my beautiful CJ.
Is your alpha reader your partner?
Oh, no, not at all. No. No. I mean,
of course not.
He just makes sure I don't sound like a complete raving idiot. My
husband is the third or fourth person to read it. I don't even know what those letters are in Greek, but yeah, he's lowered.
Oh, that's
I talk to him about it constantly, though, so he knows everything. As I'm writing, I'm always talking to him about it, but it's a little bit more sensitive to let him see it.
So he's a Charlie Delta reader. Or I should say he's the Omega reader. Isn't the Omega the person that doesn't belong to anybody?
That's the Omega is last. Catholic school reminds me that Omega is last. He's not Omega. He's not the last person.
Okay.
But he's close to the last person.
So the world is the last person.
The world is the last person, and he reads it a little bit before the world.
So yes, beta readers are essentially your second round readers. They represent your wider audience. Say if you're actually trying to sell this book, this is a great time to test the temperature of how they receive your book, and just to get the final look through. I mean, you really want to send out, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but you really want to be sending out the most polished version of your book available to these people, because this is going to be the example of if you were, especially if you're self-publishing. I think beta reading is massive when you're self-publishing, because you really need to have this final polished moment, especially if you can't afford a developmental editor and all this stuff. This is really your final polished check to make sure that everything's in line and they can cover different things, which we'll talk about later when I talk about what beta readers really do for you and such like that. But yeah, so they're your second round and hopefully your last round before selling or sending to query out to agents.
Yeah.
Now, why do we send it out to beta readers? Okay, now again,
we want to hurt ourselves. No.
Yeah. I have so many stories, which we already discussed that this is going to be kind of like a 3-part thing. So the first one was critique partners, then it was beta readers. So next month we've already decided that we're going to talk about how to deal with feedback. Oh, do I have stories to share?
I'm sure you do.
But essentially, they are still important to the process because some of the really important things that beta readers provide to you as an author or writer is they do pacing. Remember how I said when we were talking about critique partners, I said, especially depending on how you send it to your critique partner, pacing is not their thing they're going to be focusing on. It's not the thing that you're really going to hear a lot of feedback from. Like I said, especially when you're sending chunks. So the beta reader is getting this whole finished, polished book from you, and they're going to really be able to tell you if the pacing of the book kept them interested. This is a really important time because so many times critique partners aren't just looking for like what's catching their interest. They're really looking from a technical perspective, and it is the job of the beta readers to tell you if it was hooky enough, interesting enough, if it consumed them, things like that. It's also really important because they're, reading it as a reader. Did they follow the world building? Were they able to take everything that you had in your head? Did you give enough information for them to be able to follow it? Could they follow the character arcs? Did they even like the characters enough? Were they able to relate to them, such as that? Also, can they handle your writing style? Some people have very unique writing styles. Sometimes the writing styles don't match the genre, such as that. So it's really important for them to be able to understand, can they follow your writing style? And then again, the plot. Are they able to follow all the plot points that you had? Were they able to see the foreshadowing? A lot of times too, you can build up a connection or talk with your critique partner before they get your book. Like I know sometimes CJ knows, I don't know her. I mean, I guessed her plot twist for Ghost Children, but
don't tell anybody. You can't tell.
I'm not. But like sometimes, we're open about that, so we already kind of know the endings and some of the stuff we're doing. And when you have beta readers, they don't, and so you want to make sure that you're foreshadowing. They're going to check like that kind of stuff. Is the ending believable? Is it something that they got enough of so when you have the big reveal, they can accept it? Things like that. So those are the key things that sometimes critique partners don't catch, but beta readers will.
Yeah, and a lot of times they can kind of echo what you might be feeling in the back of your head, but aren't quite willing to admit to. Like my first book that I wrote, I didn't have a critique partner for because I hadn't met Kait yet, and I just didn't really know that you had to have you don't have to have a critique partner, but that you should have a critique partner. So it's just me. And like something was nagging at me about the beginning part. It just wasn't sitting well with me, but I'm like, this is the best I can do. Let me try it. So I sent it to my beta readers, and both of them said, oh yeah, I had trouble getting into it, like right from the start. And it wasn't until like chapter 7, I think, because God bless them, they slogged through. It wasn't until chapter 7 that they were like, oh, this really caught my attention. And that just brought it up to me that yes, my instinct was right. I shouldn't ignore it. I should keep working on that, because I don't want to wait for a reader to get interested in my book until chapter 7, because they're probably not going to stay till chapter 7. It's just the reality of it. So it's very good to hear what the beta readers will tell you. You should listen to them. You should listen.
It's also a great time if you weren't listening to your critique partner, and then they also gave you a ton of feedback to confirm what your critique partner was saying. And
yes, that as well.
Then you kind of just succumb to it. And there's this. I'm not saying this from experience. I feel like I had a tone. No, I'm not. This is not me being sarcastic. This is just, it took, as I've been working on praces, there are some things that CJ had mentioned, and no, I have not sent praces out to beta readers yet. But she had sent some things, and I was didn't have the energy to deal with them. But the more I sat with them, the more I was like, no, she's really fucking right.
And that's a good way to put it too. You don't have the energy to deal with those issues, because by the time you're writing the whole freaking book, you don't have the energy to tackle some things. But once you hear from your beta readers that that's sticking with them and it's bothering them, that may give you that little extra push to be like, you know what, I need to find the energy for this because it is tripping people up. I do not want this. Usually it's something a little, not insignificant, but it's not going to damage the entire book, but you don't want to lose a reader over something like that. So it's that little push to do that extra work.
Yeah, it gives you so much wider pool to look from as well, because now, again, beta readers are readers. They are not writers. They are not looking at this from such a technical perspective of being able to do this. It's really key. Your critique partner is someone who's working in the field, really knows the technical, reads the genre, they know all this, but your average reader from the shelf who's going to go pick up your book from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or indie bookstores, they're not going to have that. And so you have to make sure that people that don't have that can follow along as a reader. This is the test pool of all of that. Yeah. And maybe like a lot of times critique partners, you have 1, 2, 3 max, like, okay. You know, those are only 1 to 2 perspectives of your book besides your own. And we all know we're writers, we're biased, okay? And, you know, this is a chance for you to be able to really test the water and see, like, if you and your critique partner were iffy about something or unsure about, like, is this really going to work or not? This is a chance to, like, test it and see if it is, and to really get an overview of whether or not that worked. Especially if you're, like, trying to break boundaries or do something different with the genre or cross-genre combine. Like, this is a great chance for you to be able to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
It's just me, I feel like we're pitching, like we're doing an infomercial here. Like, this is, call 1-800 now for a beta reader, because we promise you it'll change your life.
That would be a great service that we could provide. I kind of like that idea. I wish we were doing that.
We should make an app to, like, connect people with beta readers.
There probably is something for that, and I just haven't found it. Because
it's like NetGalley, but for, like, beta readers.
There's got to be some. We cannot be the first people to have thought of this. And if we are, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should stop recording, look this up, and then take this down, because we don't want anybody to take our idea about the app.
But as we say, we can't do everything. And so we're going to give someone else this idea, because
good luck, moneymaker people. Have fun with our idea.
We want to be supported by our creativity and not do our day jobs. So, yeah, we had a whole conversation before we hit record on that. So it's still fresh.
Still fresh, yeah.
So looping back to something I said at the beginning, the next thing is, when do you send your manuscript to beta readers? That's very important. Again, remember we said this is like the last step before you either sell your book or you send it out to agents. So you want your best foot forward. You want your finished, almost like essentially your finished product. You want it as copy edited as you can be. It doesn't have to be something that you send out and spend money on, but if you know, you're really good at it, or you know a friend who does it, or you can just go through with a fine-tooth comb and just really make sure that you take out those obvious copy edits. This is the version that you're going to essentially put on the shelf.
Yeah, take out all the comments and the side, take out all, like, the little thought bubbles and things like that, the real-time comments. There should be no comments in the sidebar, just a polished manuscript.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it's as if you're selling it, because you're selling it to these people, because you never know when your book comes out, they may be your biggest advocates and be shouting this book from the rooftops. I mean, they get to brag and said they were a beta reader, so yeah.
And you never know, like, if you're connecting with somebody who's in, like, a writing group forum or something, you don't know who they know. They could be reading it and then have an editor friend or an agent friend and be like, oh my gosh, I just beta read this incredible book. You know, let me talk to that author and see if they'd be open to me sharing it with you. I mean, who would say no to that? But, you know, you never know. So you definitely want it to be your most polished version, because if that's going to get, like, shoot on to somebody else, you want that to look really, really nice.
And I've been in those weird circumstances. I've actually had 2 people. One of them, their daughter worked in publishing. So it was the whole, like, let me send it to my daughter. And then I had someone who, like, was friends with a famous author. And so they're like, oh, you want to mentor with them and all this stuff. But I also, when I was in a book club, one of my book club members was like a famous book talk, or before book talk, so whatever, the bookstagrammer. Very famous bookstagrammer. Like, I'm talking like 20 to 30,000 followers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that you don't know who you're going to meet, or who could suddenly do that one statement about your book somewhere and can send it someplace. This is a moment to sell yourself and to practice. Like, this is a great time to practice, you know, doing this for your book as well. Like, you want to make sure you have your pitch too. Like, because if you're trying to convince someone to be your beta reader, you want to make sure, like, you can pitch the book. You want to have a really clear-cut synopsis, because you want someone, you know, my next thing is, like, what do you want in a beta reader? And one of the big things is you want to make sure you pick people that want to read your book. You don't want to just pick people that are begrudgingly getting through it, because then you also aren't going to get an accurate response to the book, because people have opinions and they like certain tropes and they want the love, or they don't want the love. Like, I've had people read it that didn't want love in my book, and I'm just like, and I'm not the book for you, because all my books have love.
When I'm looking for a beta reader, I will send out, like, basically the query to the person. You know, I won't put in however many thousand words in the genres or anything, but I'll just put, like, a little blurb about the book that I would put in my query letter, and just see if that interests them. Because if that interests them, number one, you have a great query already set up. But number two, you can gauge their interest based on what your book is really about. So it's a good way to
Also, a really good test, too, at the end when you're doing your questionnaire, which I'll talk about later, is if you send them the synopsis and they choose to read the book, you can always follow up after them and be like, hey, did this synopsis work for what you read as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Did it get your interest? Did it cover enough of the book? Did it match? All that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And also, did my story match the synopsis? Did I completely forget to do something or talk about something? You want to make sure it matches up from the other way as well.
Exactly. So yeah, what do you want in a beta reader? Like we said, you want to make sure it's someone who's actually interested in reading your book. You also want to pick a reader. You want to pick a real reader, not someone who just reads a handful of books a year. You want someone who's an avid reader, who has like a basic understanding of theme and story and structure. Maybe they've read a decent amount of books in your genre specifically so they can kind of see what's out there. So yeah, I'm not saying that they have to read like hundreds of books, but maybe like 50 books a year would be a good amount.
They should be a solid reader. Definitely a solid reader. Someone who likes books, someone who reads often, and someone who can hit a deadline as well.
Yes. Sorry. My brain.
I have those moments all the time.
Seriously. I feel like I'm still not like back to life after our trip. Like I'm just trying to come back to routine in life and all the other drama that happened after our trip. Like losing part of my power. Like it's been great. Anywho. So yeah. Like I said, you want to pick someone who's in your genre as well, who can follow along. Now, you don't have to do this, but I do. So when I queried one of my books, I think I asked like 30 beta readers. I got like 30 of them. Yeah.
Wow. I don't think I even know 30 people. Holy crap.
So I had 30 beta readers, and I was very proud because 75% of them gave it a 4 stars or higher, so I was like very proud of myself.
Wait, am I supposed to have 30 beta readers? I've had at max 3. I'm a little worried now. Yeah.
That's not enough. You need at least 10.
10?
Yes.
Well, it is a good thing we are having this conversation because I did not know. 10. How do 10 people who want to read my book? Oh, that sounds bad.
Agents, you didn't hear that.
Okay. 10.
Yeah,
oh. Okay.
I didn't even have this as a bullet point. This is a good moment.
This is a great bullet point to
How
have.
are 3 beta readers gonna give you a taste of your book?
How do you process 10 though? Like, how do you manage? Like, isn't that too many cooks in the kitchen?
Okay, we're gonna get to all that in a minute though.
Okay. Having a little crisis.
So, back to me commenting about it being 30 people. I did pick a few people. You don't have to do this, but I did pick a few outliers because I wanted to get like if a random person picked up my book or like someone who doesn't entirely read my genre, I wanted like to test it out. And actually one of my you know what? I did beta read Praise now that I think about it.
I thought you did.
Back. Yeah, I did.
I thought you did.
So when I did beta reading for Praises, I actually had someone very outside of my genre read it, and she gave it a really good review, and I was just
that's really good.
I started like dancing and screaming because I was like,
yeah, you just haven't beta read the new version because you're still working on it.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is, don't ask family members.
Don't ask family members.
No, because they're not. Either they're going to be poo-pooing on everything you want to do, or they're going to love you too much and not give you an honest feedback.
Don't ask them.
We love our moms, we love our dads, we love our siblings, but they're just not the audience, okay?
No. I prefer friends or friends of friends are really good too. People you're not always going to see in everyday life.
Exactly. So, so you don't have to ask every friend, but some friends, if you have like really reader friends, they're great to ask too. But I think asking some strangers is a good thing too, which is a great segue to how to find beta readers.
And this part always makes me nervous. Like, I do not like sending my work to strangers. Like, I had to vet you very carefully as a critique partner to make sure, like, you weren't crazy, you weren't going to steal my idea.
She says I'm not crazy, but I don't know if...
Crazy in the sense of you're not going to steal my work from me, because that is what I worry about the most. I cannot imagine anything worse for a writer than seeing your book or your idea and most of your book pop up under somebody else's name. So, yeah, let's talk about how to find trustworthy beta readers, because I apparently need to find 7 more at least.
Well, you have a great option, which is your version of a book club. Yeah. Oh!
My book swap.
Ding, ding,
Oh
ding,
my
ding.
God.
So
I'm gonna write this down. Keep talking. Oh, where's my pen? It's too far away. Okay.
I got when I was beta reading Saving Goodbye, I got a huge chunk of mine from my book club, actually. And then I also got like girlfriends of some of my really close guy friends. Their girlfriends really wanted to read it and stuff like that. And then I got some really trustworthy friends, which one of those is a story.
Okay.
And at the time I did have 2 book clubs. So I asked my book club and plus because so the first time I just asked everyone. When I beta read Prices, I had been in the book clubs long enough that I was very picky about who I asked, and I didn't just send out the call. And if someone found out and really wanted to read it, I gave it to them, but I was just like, whatever, I'm going to throw that away because I just know that, like, you're not mine. Mm-hmm. But like when I sent out Prices, I was only one book club and I had vetted them a lot. And so I quietly went to a few of them and I'm like, hey, I really trust your opinion. I think that we're a good fit. Would you be willing to read Prices for me? And some of them did a really amazing job reading it and giving great feedback and all the stuff. And so yeah, book club, this is the time to be a little social and to get in a book club or to get into some sort of book group or to see if like some bookstagrammers you can talk to. And that's also where you're kind of safe because a lot of them are just readers and they're not going to steal your book.
Yeah, and you know the types of books they read because you're either reading with them or in my case you're swapping books with them and talking about books. I just thought of like 3 people as you were talking from my book swap that could read Ghost Children. Mind blown. This is awesome. Problem solved. Oh my God.
This is killing me inside because I'm just like, okay, this is not like amazing.
Hey, rocket science. But for CJ, it is.
This is also why I'm sitting here being like, God damn it, I don't want to be in another book club, but I feel like I need to be in another book club.
That's why you do book swap. There's a lot less pressure. Like, we've all agreed.
True.
The person who created it's like, I thought about doing a book club, but there's so much pressure to read the book and pick the book that everybody likes. She goes, this way we all just show up, we bring however many books, we take however many books we want, and we just sit and we chat about books or dogs or whatever it is, and there's no pressure. And everybody, book club starts at 6. People are there by 5:45 and they stay till like 7:15. The place closes at 7. We close down the coffee shop. So it's a lot less pressure, a lot more fun.
Okay.
Book
I
swap.
might, maybe I'm up for that.
I think you should start a book swap in your new-ish town.
Yeah,
maybe at your best friend's bookstore.
Yeah, but we're swapping books, we're not buying.
Okay, so at the coffee shop near your best friend's bookstore.
Exactly. I'll do it at the what is it? Sister Hazel? Is it Sister Hazel? There's a coffee shop
band?
here. Yeah, there's a coffee shop here started by the lead singer. Like I think it's Sister Hazel.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, you should go to that one.
Anyway, so yeah, book club is the best place I have found to find beta readers. Like I said, also friends. You can put a call on Instagram. You can vet them by like maybe what do they read, a little questionnaire, especially if you have a little bit of a following. You can also connect with other bookstagrammers who maybe aren't writers but just love to read, who maybe read in your genre and see if they're willing to give your book a look, This is a moment where it's just you have to be creative. You do.
Yeah. And also, if you are a part of a writing organization, like I'm part of the Women's Fiction Writing Association, and there are forums on there about how to connect with other women's fiction writers, about how to find critique partners, how to find beta readers. So there are places there. Again, those are all writers, so like it may be more critique partners than betas, but I think they have a beta section. But other online, forums and Facebook groups, if you're of the Facebook generation like I am, you can probably find some people there. There was something I was going to mention.
Need to be scared like CJ, right? Some writers are okay. Now, when we get to talking about feedback, I will have a story about a writer reviewing my work.
All right, one more thing I want to mention is a place to find beta readers. So, as a book blogger, I get a lot of ARCs or free books from authors who have reached out to me. Some of those authors actually would be good beta readers too, I think. So that's a good way to do it. If you're a blogger and you get ARC, see who's writing in your genre. And again, don't ask for like a technical review. Just ask for the beta review as they would read a book, just the way you read their book and reviewed it.
Exactly. Which is a beautiful segue into what you should ask your beta reader to do for you.
There you go.
So,
you're welcome.
They are not a CP partner. So you do need to give them a little bit longer window to get your work done. I always gave everyone 4 weeks because again, these are readers. Sometimes they're not fast readers. Sometimes they've got life going on. They're not consumed by their writing. They're not consumed by this is their only focus in life. So you got to give them a little bit more time to get through your book. Not too much because you don't want them to keep picking up and putting down your book either. You want to light a fire under their butt, but you want to give them like a grace time. So I always say like 4 weeks.
I have a question.
Yes.
And maybe this will come later. But so when a beta reader is reading your book, do you want them to read the book all the way through and then answer and think about your questions? Or do you want them to keep that in mind and kind of analyze it while they're reading?
Okay, so moving on.
We can come back. We can table that. We can put that in the parking lot and come back to it.
I have that in there.
Oh, okay. Well, then, never mind. I will wait for the big reveal.
You're supposed to be led, CJ. Not the one leading.
That's true. That's true.
I sprung this topic on her like last minutes.
And I looked at the script, but I looked at the script for next month, and I was like, it was only a paragraph. You didn't write a lot. And she's like, I wrote 2 pages. And she's like, did you look at the October one? I'm like, no. What month are we in, CJ? October.
It's okay. I lost our days on our retreat. Like I'm just now remembering it's Tuesday.
At least you weren't like, this is another Sunday episode of the podcast.
So, also, you want to make sure with your beta readers that they are not just reading a book. They will be providing feedback in the ways that you choose, which we'll discuss in a second. They are providing feedback. This isn't just for fun. They got to think a little bit. So, you need to provide some sort of have an understanding of how you want this feedback provided. So I always like to do a little email, a little packet, a little instruction sheet on how it goes. So that include how they're going to be leaving feedback. A lot of times, do you want a summary at the end of each chapter of what they think? I love that if they are able to, that I'm like, hey, write a sentence or two just describing your thoughts at the end of the chapter. Are you going to be wanting a general summary at the end? Do you want them, a lot of times, do you want them to highlight the sentences they do love? Do you want them to circle and give a brief description of what's confusing to them? How do you want the feedback? What kind of response do you want? I also like to provide a questionnaire. So I give a very detailed questionnaire to my
How many
readers.
questions do you give them?
I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot. I'm very detailed. And a lot of them aren't difficult questions, but a lot of them are, I want some feedback, okay? Yeah. And I have been criticized for it. But in all of my research, I did a lot of research on beta reading before I sent mine out. And my questionnaire is not that original. I actually got it from other people. So, I am not alone in what I think a beta reader should provide. Now, granted, did I shorten it on braces? Yes. My questionnaire was not long. But if you're looking, especially, remember what I said about with critique partners. If you have a very specific thing, you want to make sure the emotion was felt on the spot, and you want to make sure that the specific pacing was done. You want to include that in the questionnaire. If you really want to make sure that the love, say you want to make sure that the love interest is believable and it's not too insta-love, make sure you include that stuff in there. But don't give the story away. Make sure your questions don't give the story away. Things like that. You can split it up to where you have questions from when they're done reading the book and just be don't read this till you're, don't look at these until you're done. That's fine. But I think a questionnaire is important, as well as a few hey, pay attention as you're reading it, that, I want you to highlight what you love. I want you to highlight what's confusing to you. Yeah. And if you want to leave a couple words at the end of how you're feeling or what you think is going to happen. Especially if you're writing a thriller. I think telling them to write down what they're predicting.
There's a lot to keep track of in that.
Yeah, and I just think it's a great way for you to see if they're following along. I love some of CJ's comments where she's like, I'm thinking this here. Oh my God, this is what I'm thinking. I'm like, you're right on the point. That's what I want.
Yeah. I've sent out questionnaires to my beta reader, my few but faithful beta readers. It's probably 10 questions or so, but I didn't ask for a summary at the end of each chapter. I think I just got overviews of the entire book. And my beta readers were very thorough, so they gave me information about what they did like and what they didn't like, and then they went into the weeds of the questions, and that was fine for me. So it doesn't always have to be so detailed. It's whatever you feel you want from your book and from your readers.
Exactly. This is a very personal thing that you have to decide on. You have to put the work in to know what you need to know out of your story. Now, the other thing is you have to provide how they're going to be doing feedback. I had some people that wanted a physical copy, and they provided me with a physical copy back. Are you going to be doing document suggestions? Are you going to be giving them a PDF? What form are they going to be reading it? Like, do they want to read it on their Kindle? I had someone who was only like, I'm only going to read this book if it's something I can read on my Kindle, and that was a mess.
I've printed out a manuscript and mailed it to somebody.
See? Yeah.
So, and then somebody I know, I sent her the digital, like the PDF, and she printed it out herself and mailed back her comments to me, which was very, very sweet. I appreciated that so much. And she would not let me reimburse her for postage. And it was super sweet. And I love that. But yeah, everybody has their own preference. I had a beta reader who wanted the digital and the print, so I sent her the digital file, and I was confirming her address a few days later when I was going to print, thankfully I hadn't done it yet, when I was going to print out the manuscript and send it to her, and she messaged me and she says, don't print it out, I actually started reading and I couldn't stop, and I read the entire thing on my phone over the weekend.
On her phone.
Oh my God. She read this on her teeny tiny phone, but she loved it that much, and I was like, that is just the best. That was the best compliment ever. And this was from like a hardcore like paper book reader too. Zip through the whole damn thing. That was for Deserted.
Oh my God. I was going to be like, can I know which one it was?
Yeah, it was Deserted.
I had a friend print it all out and three ring bind it.
The organization is just... It's kind of fun to see what everybody wants to do too, you know?
The girl that refused to read on anything but her Kindle is probably my biggest fan. So I forgive her.
Okay, then that's allowed.
I swear, like once a week she's like, so when are you self-publishing this book? When are you self-publishing this book? She doesn't want me to edit it whatsoever. And I'm like, honey, it needs some love.
You can publish the old version and just give a copy just to her.
She's threatened. She's like, do you mind if I print this out and bind it for myself? I'm like, it's fine. Honey, I love you. You can do it. You can be the one person in this entire world that has that version.
Original. That could be worth millions one day.
I know, right? Maybe that's what she's doing. I'd be the next Stephen King, and then someone would be like, this is original.
That's someone's retirement plan right there.
I don't want anyone to ever have that copy. Like, I don't care if she, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to know how shitty of a writer I used to be. Oh my God. So yeah, there we go. So also, one of the key things I think you should do, as my suggestion, is ask the person to rate your book at the end. Like, as if this was Goodreads, like out of 5 stars, you know, what would, if they were going to rate this on Goodreads, what would they give this book? I love that. I think it's harsh.
That's gonna be harsh. That's gonna be hard. I can deal with the individual sentence feedback, but for some reason you're right. I think you're completely right, but for some reason that for me would be harder to take than analysis and critique feedback.
So I don't know if people were like too generous with me or not. The one girl that I said I was totally outside of my genre and I was really proud of her review, she gave me 3.5 stars. And I felt like that was a huge win because this is a person that was never going to like my book, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like the times when I got like a 1 or 2 stars, which we'll talk about in the feedback response, were people that I threw their reviews away. And that's okay to do.
Yeah.
That is, and we will get into that in the next episode, next industry one, because it is okay to throw reviews away, and we will tell you, like, point you to what to look out for and when it means that review needs to be in the trash. Because we all know there are those trolls on the internet. Think of it as like a troll on the internet, and they're leaving those nasty comments where it's like, I was on Instagram and someone had, you know, they got the really pretty nails, like the long ones, and they kept getting comments like, how do you wipe your ass? Like, how is that a real constructive comment? Yes.
That has no relevance on the story. Wow. Okay.
So did you just see CJ's reaction? That is how you should feel about certain reviews.
Yeah.
Because there are times when it's just like, how the fuck does this have any relevance to what I'm asking you or my story?
I had a thought. I had like a really scary thought. What if a person sends you a horrible review of your book and then goes and takes it and like makes it their own and then they publish it? Just like what I'm scared of. But they try to throw you off the scent by being like, your book is horrible, you have horrible, stupid nails, and you're never going to be published with your nails, and then just goes and publishes your book.
Are you manifesting that?
I'm not manifesting it. I'm just saying.
Control, Alt, delete that thought.
Okay.
Also, you can take them to court and you have all the evidence that you came up with the original story. So we gotta have a little bit more faith in the world. Just a little bit. I had to learn to have more faith in the world.
Okay, I have another question. that is not related to doom and gloom.
Okay.
Have you ever had any beta readers that they would read your book, but only if they could remain anonymous in providing their feedback? Which, if you have like 30 and only one person says they want to remain anonymous, you're going to know who it is. Okay. But would anybody want to...
How's that even possible, to remain anonymous when you ask them to beta read?
Well, if you did like everybody remaining anonymous, then you wouldn't know.
I mean, I guess, but there's email. You're going to know who it comes from.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess it's not like a forum. I just think like those surveys you see like on SurveyMonkey.
I mean, you could do that. That's not a bad idea. I mean, well, you don't even have to do SurveyMonkey. Google now lets you make free forms.
Oh, there you go. And this way you could have it be anonymous if people are nervous.
But that's a good idea, too. Feedback. That could be another form of feedback as well. If you don't want them, like, editing in the thing, or you're giving them a physical copy and you want more of, like, a digital copy that you don't have to transcribe over, a Google form actually would be really good.
Yeah. And I feel like if people can comment anonymous, like, they may be even more open. I mean, you definitely want your beta readers to be people you can trust to be honest with you. But if they're still kind of friends with you, they may feel a little awkward, and taking, the anonymity, making sure you don't know who said it may make it easier for them.
You know what's hilarious about this is we wanted to talk about how I organized, like, the 30 reviews that I got for my book, and it's quite funny that you say all this, because actually if you do a Google form, it puts the answers into a Google spreadsheet, like Excel, and that would be a really easy way to, like, organize the feedback based on, like, what you do. Because, like, that's the other really big thing that I want to get, like, we can discuss in feedback next episode for this as well, is the organization of it and how I did it as well. Because I did make an Excel file, and I did, group things. And again, it's like, we'll get into that in the next episode of, like, what to listen to, what not, yada, yada, things like that. So that's a great, like, teaser for all of that. But, Google Form, look at what you just... Now I want to do Google Form for my next one.
I kind of want to do that, too. I feel like it's a... And people can send, like, their own review if they want to with their name. But this way, the feedback's a bit more anonymous and therefore possibly more honest.
And when you do Google Forms, because I've done I've done the Google Form, you can make certain fields optional as well. So if they want to, like, they don't have to fill in their name if they don't want to. Yeah. And you can do long form, and you can also do, like, A, B, and C. Yeah. You can do all sorts of stuff. So I love this. I love this idea. And you're right. You might even get more of an, like...
My laundry's done. Sorry.
You might even get more of an honest feedback.
Yeah. And also, I feel like it's helpful, too, because you... Say I'm getting a beta review from somebody and they don't like this one part or something, or I disagree with what they said. I could always dismiss it and be like, oh, well, so-and-so's an idiot anyway about this type of thing, or they don't read this type of book, so I'm just going to dismiss what they're saying, And this would also, the anonymity would take that out of it, too, from our part. We could just take everything as a blank canvas because we won't know who said it. Therefore, everything becomes valid. I think we're onto something.
Or it ends relationships.
Which you might not want to do. So, again.
These 2 reviews, I saw the real color of these 2 people, kind of destroyed my relationship with them.
Yeah, and how well do you want to know your friends? Not that well. So keep it anonymous.
I'll keep their names anonymous in the next industry topic, but I hope they never listen to it.
That's okay.
Because I'm still friends with one of them.
Doesn't sound like you want to be, though. Should we have an episode on how to break up with your beta reader or your CP?
Problem is, there's a lot of strings attached to this person.
Okay.
I'll explain offline.
Okay.
Because if I tell you this thing, it'll be very obvious to this person.
Okay. Moving on. I think we have a great idea about the anonymous feedback.
I know.
I think it's a good idea, and you can have a little bit of both. And this way, I like it.
Look at CJ just...
With the ideas. I'm so proud.
I know, you weren't even prepared for this, and you just, like, you threw me this, like, you lobbed me this thing, and I'm just like... Pfft.
My natural genius just couldn't be held back anymore, and I just came out with it. It's just,
you're gonna have to
blessing and a curse.
And you're gonna have to beta read Ghost Children soonish, and I gave you where to find your beta readers, and you gave me how to do it.
Yes, there you go. Boom, team effort. Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right, friends, well, good luck. That's final closing words to the beta reading.
That's not very reassuring. Good luck.
Good luck. It's hard, but also necessary. necessary. And you know what? This is gonna build our skin for when we actually like have to do this and we get the shit ass comments
on Goodreads and Amazon and things like that, and
it's
people
gonna
like
happen.
troll our book before it's even out, because that can happen on Goodreads. Per
And it's
our
gonna, like,
industry topic episode from a year ago. Do you remember that? That woman who got, what was it? Everything's Fine, I think the book is. We talked about it. The New York Times had a whole article on her about how her book wasn't even out, and Goodreads people were posting horrible reviews, and it tanked sales. Yeah.
Okay,
That
I thought
would
you were talking
happen to
about
us.
like. I thought you were talking about like we had an episode that happened.
Oh no, we had an episode where we talked about that happening to somebody else.
I was like, this happened to us already. Oh my god, I missed it.
It happened to us already.
I've been known to black out things like the spider.
I don't even have a Goodreads author account.
Dude, when I had people read Saving Goodbye, they were so about their reading count that they got annoyed that they could not check it off on Goodreads account as a book they read, and they emailed Goodreads to add my book to Goodreads before I was even anything.
I love that. And I feel the same way. When I am doing beta reading and critique partnering, I want to add that book to my Goodreads account because I read the fucking book. And it doesn't count. But in my heart it counts, but not on the program.
Do I consider not reading books if they aren't on Goodreads and I can count them? Yes, I have not read a book because of that. It's about the numbers, damn it. And as we're entering this end of the year, it's about the fucking numbers. I'm not going to get the number I want, so I'm a little sad.
But you're still getting a huge number, so that's good.
Yes.
Like 100,005. And I'm like, I have 44 books this year. Woo!
It's not even a number, CJ.
I know.
100,000. Okay. Anyway, good luck. We are with you. Just know that we have all been through this, and beta, it's part of, if you want to be published, it's just part of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, but it'll make us better, especially if we want to get our art. We can't squirrel away this art anymore. We can't be those people.
Don't squirrel. Don't squirrel.
And don't forget, you still have 1 week before we have our book club episode, which is Vampires of El Norte by Isabella Cañas. And, if you want to wait and get it in the mail, just, use one of our bookshop links. But it might be too late for that. It might be. But don't forget to join in. We are super excited to talk about the book. But thank you so much for listening to Dark Side of the Word, a weekly podcast for all the dark story lovers, creatives, and readers out there. You can find us as audio only on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, if you're watching this video, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But thank you so much, friends. We hope you have an amazing creative journey. And I don't remember what I said, but you said it was amazing. And so I hope you just have an amazing creative journey.
Bye!
Bye.